tools you're going to need to use for this valve job on this 97 XR250, you're going to need 17mm socket, 10mm socket, 12mm socket, 5,000 shim or feeler gauge, 4,000 feeler gauge, 10mm wrench, 12mm wrench. I used a 15/16 wrench to get the valve covers off, which is that. I didn't have a big enough metric size wrench to use. You need a flathead screwdriver, 6mm Allen wrench, and a 10mm Allen wrench. And those are the tools you need to complete this job. And it's pretty easy. Today we're doing a valve adjustment job on a 1997 Honda XR250. This video can be used for probably just about every XR model there is. I mean, they're all, Honda pretty much built them the same, you know, considering the sizes and stuff, but they're all basically the same, I would imagine. And the first things you need to do is take your seat and tank off. I'm not going to elaborate on how to do that. I think if you're watching this video, you're somewhat mechanically inclined to do that yourself. You need to loosen your decompression cable right there. Just loosen these little nuts here, and it's loose. And then you need to come down here and use a 10mm Allen wrench to get this cover off, and a 6mm Allen wrench to get that cover off. The bolt inside here, you need a 17mm to turn your engine over to set your top dead center, and you want to turn it counterclockwise to do that. And then as you're turning it, you want to look up inside here and you try to get a good view of it. You can see that see that little T just to the right of that line on the flywheel? Well, that's top dead center. And you want that line to line up with this little notch on the side of your case right there. You can see it, that little notch right there. You want that line, top dead center line, lined up with that, and that'll be your top dead center. Then once you got that completed, you come up here and use a 15/16 wrench to take off your valve covers. You got 4 of them. Once you got them taken off, you need to take your flathead screwdriver, and in the back here you need a 10mm wrench to take your jam nut off and loosen your jam nut. And for your exhaust up in front here, you need a 12mm to loosen your jam nut. So to clarify, exhaust valve, intake valve. The intake valve takes 4/1000 feeler gauge, and the exhaust 5/1000 feeler gauge. And I can't really show you, but it's not that hard. You just take your flathead screwdriver, hold your adjustment screw, and loosen up the jam nut. You can see the jam nut right there. You'll see it when you take your engine apart. And then once you got that loose, what I did was I cut my feeler gauge to fit just enough in there to where I'm not hitting, my throttle cables or anything, and I bent it at a 90-degree angle. Can't see that, to get underneath. Try to get a good picture of it. To get underneath your valve adjustment screw. And once you get it under, you don't want the valve adjustment screw to clamp down on the filler gauge. You want it snug enough to where you can pull the filler gauge out without any major resistance. Just leave your filler gauge in there, and once you feel the bolt kind of hit the filler gauge, kind of move your filler gauge around and see if it's loose. Then if it is and you think you're good, hold your flathead screwdriver and tighten, and don't try not to make any movements with the adjustment screw. Hold the screwdriver and tighten down the jam nut to about I think it's around 17 foot-pound torque, or just till it's snug. You don't want to break it or anything. And just repeat that process on all 4 of your valves. I don't think I need to go through every one of them to show you. I think one's enough. Then once you got that done, put your engine, gas tank, and seat all back together, and should be good to go. That's it.